Hi, everybody. I'm international publicist Michelle Tennant Nicholson. I'm also the Henderson County Democrats East Flat Rock Precinct Vice Chair. And I've been doing that for a few years. What I bring to the table are some technology skills. And with me today is Jay Carey. Jay Carey, let me introduce you so they can see you. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you're running for.
Well, my name is Jay Carey. I'm running for Congress, District 11, to unseat Madison Cawthorn. More importantly, to bring a strong voice to Congress in support of the people of District 11. I'm married with four boys. Whew, I forget that sometimes.
Well, that's why you forget them, because they're four boys. You know, when I was, about 40 years ago, I babysat 4 boys for this couple, and that's quite a lot. So let me just introduce people. So while we're talking, Jay, I want to tell them about your website. So I'm just going to share the screen just a bit. So everybody, you can go to jcareyforcongress.com, and we're going to talk a little bit in the next few minutes about Jay's service experience and accomplishments. So you can read a little bit about him. He also has a great introductory video if you'd like to see and hear him here.
Hi, I'm Jay Carey. I'm a husband, I'm a father of 4, and I'm a retired disabled combat veteran. And I'm running for the congressional seat in District 11, North Carolina.
Yeah, I really love this video that you did here. I think that it's a great, 1.5 minutes of who you are, getting down into the nitty gritty. So why don't we just watch the rest of it in case people haven't seen it? Because I know people are like, oh, why'd you turn it off? And then we'll back into it from there, okay?
Sure.
So hold on a second.
I have the experience, leadership skills, and know-how to get results, and I feel called to serve again. We cannot count on leaders that rely on fear-mongering, half-truths, and false warrior bravado, much like Madison Cawthorn. I am not running just because our representative helped incite an insurrection that wound up claiming the lives of 5 fellow Americans, to include members of law enforcement. I am not just running against something or someone. I am running to help make our district an even better place to live, to raise a family, to call home. Our district needs an honest voice, a visionary to lift up our economy, reform our healthcare system, and make services more accessible, better fund our classrooms and bring in industry, and have the uncomfortable discussions about the need for equality and equity. I am that person. There will be many fine Democratic candidates running for this election, but I am the only candidate that can and will beat Madison Cawthorn. Join me. Donate to my campaign. Together, we can send a strong voice to Washington. I'm Jay Carey, and I approve this message.
Okay, just fun note, that tractor at the end. So my husband and I are homesteaders, and we have a homestead here in East Flat Rock with 50 chickens, 4 beehives, and 1 18-year-old Siberian Husky. But we did buy property in Lake Lure, and it's completely like brand new. So that tractor will definitely have my husband's attention. Okay, Jay?
Yeah.
But what else about that? Let's drill into it a little bit. I don't want to make our interview with you all about Madison Cawthorn, but what made you run? Tell us that.
Well, first thing that I wanted to re-enter public service. Having served in the military for over 20 years, it's a really good sense. I mean, it makes me feel good for public service to help others. And then January 6th happened, and everything that followed that, and basically the spiral of our current Representative Cawthorn, going from just being a conservative Republican, which there's nothing wrong with that. We need both sides, to basically turning into a fascist. And his things that he's been saying and doing have been detrimental to our district, our state, and our country as a whole. He's not helping the people of District 11. He's not helping the rural people.
So what I'm hearing you say is that there you were kind of just observing the leadership in play, and you're like, that doesn't represent me and my values, and I want to make a difference and step back into leadership. So tell me about your leadership in the military. You're very proud of that, and I'd like to kind of let people know a little bit about your accomplishments there.
I served in a senior leadership, I was a senior NCO, non-commissioned officer, sergeant first class for over 10 years during my time in the military. I've led thousands of soldiers. I've taught thousands of soldiers on leadership skills and other skills within, I was a tank master gunner. I was a tanker. So I was an expert on the fire control system of a tank. Not to get in the weeds too much, but I've assembled a small team when I was in Iraq to help train the Iraqi infantry battalion that we were partnered with. And also we did quite a bit of community rebuilding, where we worked with local populace, local leadership, helping them to rebuild, getting the basics that they needed, providing their own security, their own safety, so that when we left, they could continue to prosper. And it's something I'm very proud of. The team that we assembled was excellent. We did a great job. I received the Bronze Star for my time in Iraq, for everything that we accomplished. And it's just really important to me that we need someone that has good leadership skills, like Joe Biden, President Joe Biden. He's a good leader. He's not an expert in all these things, but he's a great leader. He knows how to assemble those experts, get them working towards one goal. And we've seen so much in the short time that he's been in office, that I know that when I get in office, we can do a complete turnaround, a 180 of this district, get the help to the rural community, schools, healthcare, all these things that we've been lacking and been overlooked and left behind on.
Let me ask you this. If I'm in East Flat Rock, all my neighbors, I'm close with the precinct leader of the Republican Party, and safety and security are among the top two values that they really want to see in a leader. Tell me why, when they're looking between you and Madison Cawthorn, why would your leadership skills trump his, pun intended?
Well, first off, he doesn't have any. Okay, he is young, he is inexperienced, and there's nothing wrong with being young and inexperienced, but to insert yourself into a position that you need to have had years of experience in leadership, it was the wrong move. It was unfortunate. He kind of pulled he kind of did a good pulled the wool over people's eyes, thinking that he was somebody that he wasn't. And I have a proven record of leadership. I have years and years and years of leadership, both in combat and in peacetime. So, and also part of being a leader is recognizing quality people, experts in their field, people that can help get something done. And also, you got to have patience as a leader, because you have to deal with so many different personality types. And just to be incendiary and fear-mongering is not leadership. He hasn't shown any leadership whatsoever. A leader walks into a situation and calms it down, gets it under control, and figures out, hey, what's going on? Where do we need to fix this? Not walks in and says, oh, they're going to knock on your doors to give you shots and take your guns and Bibles. Fear-mongering, that is not leadership. Words, just these words. I mean, he's trying to use words as leadership, and that's not how it works.
What would you say instead, Jay? So when it comes to healthcare, immigration, and so forth, what are you going to say to the people of Western North Carolina?
Well, for one thing, with the recent census, we have over 13%, over 100,000 Western North Carolinians without health care. They cannot afford it, even with the ACA. Okay, and we need a single payer option. We don't need to replace all healthcare with a single payer, but we need a single payer option where people that are low income, poor, and in rural areas, that they can get the healthcare that they need. They can get the health insurance, so that they're either not going broke or just not going. With a lack of healthcare has caused over 176 hospitals in rural America to close, with another 240 that are about to close. So we have to insuring people keeps us from paying extra, those that are insured, and it brings back services to rural communities that they're losing.
And then what about, how would you bring the two parties together in Western North Carolina? I think that the divide that we feel in the country exists here, especially when Democrats feel put upon by the, like I don't know that I always have my voice heard when I'm at a town meeting or a council meeting and so forth. And I'm hesitant sometimes to even identify myself as a Democrat. I sometimes lead with my husband being an independent. So how can you help us all have a bigger voice?
Well, for one thing, we have to recognize that what's going on with the Republican Party is just a small group of people that are gaslighting and are fear mongering, and they're taking over the message of the Republican Party. Republicans are not bad people. They have good ideas. Republicans just have priorities in a different order than what Democrats do. So we need to listen to them. I from the get-go, I've said that I want to listen to anybody that has a good idea. And I have talked to Republicans, independents, and Democrats, liberal and moderate. It's very, very hard to speak to that small group. So we isolate that group, cut them off from the sound and sane voices of the majority of the Republican Party, and let them bring their ideas forward. And understand that I don't dislike you because of your political affiliation. I dislike you if you want to bring harm to people, if you want to control them through fear. And that's not a Republican tactic. That's a far right conservative fascist tactic that's happening. So we need to get the message out that I don't dislike you because of your party. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to sit down. I don't want to say, hey, I want to sit down, at the table, because it's like an overused thing, or the big tent idea. It's just so trite and overused, and just it's like a key, or like those key words that some Democrats like to use.
Well, let's use some language that you and I can actually relate to, right? Instead of a tent, let's talk tractors. Instead of tractors, let's talk guns, because I think that really what divides. When my husband and I get into conversations about politics, it comes down to guns, or abortion. And so I'm curious, I've got bears that are on the new property. I've had bears in my backyard. I am liberal, pacifist, mostly. However, the gun thing, when you're out in the middle of the forest and you've got nothing else to protect yourself, a gun starts to look a little attractive. So what about your stance on guns and school safety, being able to hunt, all that?
Well, as my website says, with the Second Amendment, I believe that every law-abiding citizen has a right to own a weapon legally. Okay, we need common sense gun laws. We need our background checks being actually done, being enforced. We need to close that gun show loophole where I've actually seen on video a 13-year-old walk in and buy a gun because there's no background checks requirements. But the main thing is we need to ensure safety by gun owners. My guns are locked up in a gun safe. I have a shotgun that has a shotgun case, locking case on in the entire action. So none of my children can get to it without me knowing or me being there. And so we prevent a lot of these incidents of gun violence by keeping guns out of the hands of people that shouldn't have them, shouldn't have access to them. Okay. As a gun owner, it's your responsibility to keep your weapons secure and safe. When it comes to bears, I have bears too. I found that one of those air horns and bear spray work great, because I'll tell you, if you shoot a bear and you don't kill that bear, he's going to be very, very upset.
Truth.
So scaring them, they don't want to attack you. They don't want to interact with you. Just scare them away. Hunting.
A little fun turn in the interview, right? Going to bear advice. That's for everybody out there. What about religion, Jay? And just why don't you touch on that briefly? It's very important to people of Western North Carolina.
Absolutely. We're a society based on we're a country based on freedom of religion. So what we believe is our choice, and no one should be persecuted, prosecuted, or made to feel less because of the religion that they choose to follow. Okay. And I don't believe that religion should be foisted on our children unknowingly to the parents, like keeping the separation of state of religion and, government and religion. Okay. There should be no religion in public schools. There hasn't been. I mean, it needs to continue that. Religion is very important. It gives, if nothing else, it gives a lot of people a sense of community, of belonging, and there's nothing wrong with that. We want to be around people with like values and like ideas. My values, I grew up Christian. My values are reflective of that. But I don't believe in persecuting someone because of whatever religion they choose to practice. So,
pro-choice or pro-life, Jay? Pro-choice, pro-life?
I am pro-choice. I am pro. I am pro a woman having autonomy over her body. Is what I am. Whatever she chooses to do with her body is between her doctor, and her God. The government has no business in it because all we do is screw it up.
All right, one last. So, and then also, let's talk a little bit about precinct leadership. How can we as precinct leaders help you, Jay?
Establish meet and greets with your precinct, inviting candidates to come and talk, because it's very hard. And it's kind of hard right now. It's getting harder with COVID rearing its ugly head again, to get out there and meet people, knowing that, we invite, or we have people that are vaccinated, that are willing to wear their masks in an outdoor setting if possible. There's plenty of, we were just at the East Flat Rock Park the other day, and because my son's birthday, his 2-year birthday.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
did you
right?
notice the new signs that say, hey, call that's some of the work that we've been doing, is just making sure that people know how to call the non-emergency sheriff's number in the event that there's something concerning. Yeah.
So, I mean, we precinct chairs, definitely, the precincts can definitely step up and backfill for the counties, because some counties, they're just not willing to meet. I mean, it's getting back to where it was last year, but we're not where we were last year. We're not the same. We're not in the same position. We're vaccinated. We're safe. We understand it more. We understand what we need to do. We can assemble, but just keep it in loose, a loose assembly. We can even assemble inside if we maintain social distancing. The key thing is Democrats vaccinate. Now Republicans are vaccinating. It's amazing. 1 million a day in the last 7 days. So
I think that, yeah, because you have so many people in your life who get sick or die, then you start to pay attention to, well, what just actually works for my body, right?
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that we haven't covered that you would like to cover with? I mean, mostly Democrats are going to be watching this, but this is going to be on the internet. And so other people are going to trip over it. And, if you're independent or you're Republican, you're welcome in my heart for a conversation. And I'm always looking for common ground. So Jay, what else do you want to talk about before we close?
Well, for one thing, what you were saying with the conversation, I want to have conversations with people, both sides of the aisle, as it were. All right. I want to meet with people in the middle. All right. I am not a progressive Democrat. I am not a liberal. I am not a moderate. I'm just a Democrat. Okay. I believe in the ideals of a Democrat. I don't believe in labeling myself, because I am open to whatever idea benefits my district, my state, and my country. So, and I also believe, like I said, going back with the religion, is we have to maintain that separation, so that we get people in there into office that are willing to listen to both sides and not just be guided by an outside factor.
Jay, before we close, I did, listening to you talk about communities, I think it'd be something that we would have missed upon speaking about your disability, because I think that oftentimes a diverse population includes those who have different abilities with their bodies. Is there anything that you want to say to our populace? There's a woman, for example, that recently went blind while we were in the middle of our East Flat Rock fight against the asphalt plant. I just was thinking, gosh, what would that be like? All of a sudden you can see, and then the next day you can't see. And so it's just really present to people who have different abilities and what life looks like for them. Why don't you speak a little bit about that?
Well, first off, I did take part in the protest against the East Flat Rock cement plant. Me and my wife went out there with some signs.
Oh, thank you, Jay. I appreciate that.
What a terrible.
We're not
and they've already
against business
polluted.
growing, just against rezoning something that's already been zoned.
Absolutely.
And then agreed upon in a comprehensive community plan. Sorry, go ahead.
No problem. But so my desire when I assemble my team is to get people from all walks of life that have experiences that I don't have. I have disabilities. I have PTSD. I've had my right ankle replaced twice. So I have some physical, but I'm not restricted. I still can get up in the morning, walk around. I have nothing keeps me from functioning in what I believe is a normal way. So I don't understand what these physical, what people with these kind of disabilities face. So I want someone on my team that does understand that. I don't understand what the LGBTQ community goes through because that is not me. I don't understand what the Latina or people of color go through because I have tattoos on my hands, but I can put on gloves and I no longer have tattoos on my hands. So I don't have that issues, those kind of issues. I'm a white middle-class male in America. There's nothing better in the world. And you've got every opportunity in the world. And that's what I tell my kids. I said, and don't hate on others that are trying to make it that are different than you, because they need all the assistance and love and understanding that they can get, because that's where they need to be. But we need people in those positions helping create and make legislation. If they're not getting elected to office, then they need to be part of a team of somebody that is in office. Women, I understand some of what women deal with in that, I have a wife and she tells me, and she's always telling me, reminding me of like, hey,
We like to tell our husbands that.
Yeah. She's like, since the age of 13, when she developed early, she was getting hit on by a grown man. And I'm like, that's disgusting. I didn't go through that.
Yeah.
I want all these different, I want a diverse group. I have a diverse group helping me run. And I want a diverse group once I win and I'm put into office so that I can better understand. And that's where I come with my leadership, is getting the right people together.
So I really appreciate interviewing you today and just getting to know you a little better, Jay. And but I too suffer from PTSD, and I write about it at Psychology Today if you have interest, by the way. And it doesn't stop me. I know that it stops some people, and those of us who actually are able to say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with, are probably the ones that are not as suffering as those who are silent about it. So I really just acknowledge you for stepping up when you saw something that you didn't like. And I always commend people who bring themselves to community service. And more importantly, I want to thank you for your service in the military. And, we have a lot of turmoil going on right now that is very concerning. And we definitely need leadership who have the experience and insight that you do. So thank you so much for being with us today. Oh, by the way, everybody, if you want to see his website, why don't you tell us the letters here, Jay?
Oh, yes. It is jcareyforcongress.com.
Yeah. So
we were actually doing a relook or a reboot of the website, because one feedback I get a little bit is that it's very stuffy, and I am not a stuffy person for sure. And so I have somebody that's helping me. It's going to have all the main stuff.
Said your website's highfalutin up there. Is it uppity? They were calling this website uppity.
I guess. I don't know anything about this stuff. I was like, if it's easy to get around, that's all I care. If you hit the button says what it is, and it takes you to where you got to go. Oof.
This is the picture I love the most.
That's up at Jump Off Rock. Yep.
Everybody has opinions, right, Jay? So, I don't see anything wrong with your website, but if you're launching it again, be sure to check back in a few weeks. When will the relaunch be ready, Jay?
In the next couple days.
Oh, perfect. So then check back next week, everyone. And thanks again, Jay. Have a great day and best of luck in your running.
Well, let me show you something real quick.
Okay.
These are my bumper stickers.
Oh, yay.
So it goes along with my sparrow on my hand, of freedom of choice. And if anybody wants one, they can just email me and we'll mail one right off.
Oh yeah, let's go ahead and put it in the chat, and then people can actually see it I think they can see the recording or not, but let's just go ahead and, oh, you know what? You probably have it under your contact. Yes, you do. Hold on just a second, just so people have a visual, different types of learners, right?
Yep.
So Jay at jcareyforcongress.com. And then you've got an Etowah PO box there, PO box 387, Etowah,
Yeah.
North Carolina.
Oh, that one's wrong. My wife, she hasn't corrected it yet. It's 307.
307. So that should be.
Yeah, we'll get that straight for the relaunch.
Yeah, and your relaunch. That's a beautiful picture, by the way. With there's even the moon back there. It's just gorgeous.
It was very chilly that morning, let me tell you.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what? We didn't talk about broadband. I'm hoping. Let me just guess. You're for infrastructure expansion.
Yeah.
I'm good because I need it in my new property out there in over there by Buffalo Creek. Because I clearly make a living on the internet, so I'm all for anything that you want to say, just to squeeze it in before we close.
We need hardwired, dependable broadband run to every home. We have the ability. We did it in the 30s with electricity, that we ran electricity to every home that wanted it in America. We have the infrastructure already in place. They're called telephone poles. One thing we have to do is we've got to convince the electric companies that we can use their poles, so we're not setting new poles and keeping the cost down. But we need to run, like, I have 10 megabyte here. When I first moved here, it was 3 megabyte throughput. When I lived in Texas, I had 1 terabyte throughput. Big step down, tough time, especially with COVID and with the everything we had to do with quarantining and staying at home for the distance learning. You understand it. If you live on the internet and you got 10 megabyte throughput, you are not having fun on that internet. And we need to do this. It expands medical help. It expands education opportunities, even at higher levels. It gives people the opportunity to start small businesses within their own home, anywhere in the country. So it doesn't matter where you're located. It attracts major industry. So broadband's it's like the ground floor. It's the basement.
I agree. It is the foundation.
It's the foundation. Thank you. The foundation. It starts everything moves from there.
So we have had a lot of conversation about so many different things, but if you definitely want a little more from Jay, you can email him or contact him through his website. And have a great day, Jay.
Thank you. You too.